So it's and that goes right along the length of the paa. When I say we came up partly into it on an entranceway, and we've gone through. So we connected the end of the paa, and from here we'll walk over. But that line ditch is a very serious business, Jeffrey.
Yep.
It goes about almost sheer for about 6 metres or so, and you've got the earthwork and drop in. And each earthwork probably had its own line of palisade posts. And where we first came in, midway to the point, to the entranceway, that was hard enough with just grabbing vegetation to get ourselves up. So imagine then having the palisade posts, solid obstacles. If you think of it, Whaitaima, I need to be standing here.
You do.
Standing there.
Yep.
To get a
yes.
dimensional sense.
Yes, exactly.
Yep.
It's massive, isn't
it? It is. And as I say, this you stick up in aerial photos, but you won't get them now with a canopy. And so, ideally, there shouldn't be one scrap of vegetation growing here, Jeffrey. That's to keep the cultural integrity of the sites and the earthwork.
Or are they different to the things down there?
You're only seeing defensive things here.
No, I want to see these other secret things that you want
secret.
to
This means, with palisading, a handful of warriors with long spears could freely run up and down, not have a twig or anything to obstruct them, and thrust the spears through at any invaders that could make it even up to this point.
Wow.
Up second line of defence.
Can you just hold there for a second?
They get the towel.
Just bear in mind, I've given you so much background, but
you have.
And I'm trying to get a connection for the region. But not the region. It is Maori culture. It's Maori whakapapa. It's Maori value and Maori history, but not as we know it. Whaitaima.
Have I got kaka on my shoes? Oh,
see, Jeffrey, all through where the pigs have been digging,
can you hold this,
digging
please?
that up. Now, when you get that, that's the sign.
Can you hold this, please?
That's the sign that this land was originally stripped bare of soil for occupation, no mud or anything else for houses and house sites. So this has been this has just been later build up, but it's not the original. Not the original soils. All the original soils were stripped and probably thrown down there. And yet the older paa, why didn't they keep using this? Why did they have ones right down, way down below by the lake? It had much occupation by those interconnected pits, and yet they were a serious paa, not this place, but serious paa in the past. And I go back again, is you can only make and defend a place with the numbers of people you had at any given time. If you're in the dozens, you couldn't defend or construct this. If you're in the hundreds, you could. And so that's
yes.
And so all people have today paa, and they can't think beyond that. And then you can connect the histories and everything else. Yeah. This gives you an idea. See the road, and that's where we were parked the other day. Down there.
Rangatira Point.
That was just the side. With the point in the back. So you got your bearings now?
Yep.
That's the car park where we stopped.
Yep.
And we're looking back up this way. So you've got a different view now from where I was pushing the trees over.
Oh, so the dead wildling on the end is Rangatira, is where we were.
And there we were. We had two lots. And that's just
Yes, and you pushed over all the
trees.
and
Not in
pushed
my
over.
way. That was a nice touch. So just giving her the Thai farmer a photographic thing. Car park down here, we were looking at back up here. And once you're up here, it's higher than you think, hey?
Way higher.
And this is
Send the goodie?
this is almost rocky bluffs as well, along here.
Couldn't find those pits.
No, I think you had to look pretty closely down the side of where there are a series of little storage pits in the initial embankment before you
Come on, Quiddy!
into that first lot of trenches. Well, have you had enough?
I've had enough.
Let's go back.
I want to recharge.
Oh, I thought you said you left something to eat still in the car.
Yes, there is. So the water rose 10 feet or so because of a blockage at the power
mouth.
at the.
And it affected the people in customs and that all round. And I can connect the stories with that, with the physical evidence I found. They just look at you in bemusement. It was well, I salvaged a couple of things when they started, the council started putting the tracks through, because they wanted this dividing the land for a search and rescue if they had to suddenly whiz around here and drop a boat in. So that was made as a emergency thing, which is used by canoeists and others today in the jet ski groups. So that's but that came right through a whole level occupation. So they weren't living all the time, you know, behind palisade posts and fearful of their lives. When they'd secured an area, they were comfortable in living more in the open areas. And they had smaller areas in their own time for defence. So that's the so that's just a sort of a wind up where the feet are. But over there we've been to where the chief was buried for Hippie's father, and we drove past where I pointed out he died, and they brought his body on a canoe all the way up from down the Waikato River, all the way up here, and buried him here. But what knowledge or reverence or anything is given, it's just been ongoing fight of trustees. And I've been mindful of power people, of roading people. I've had to work all with them, and the trustees have been on a negative thing, develop, money. So it's no accident where we went in was that burial place where it was put at the foot, and that had a very symbolic and significant to put a reserve and a preserve for the person that's buried there, for everyone to know in the past. Now I might have names, but you know, making a name fit somewhere, you know, to consider that, because there are many burial caves and places all around here, and many people were taken to be buried back at the Ponui area that were all connected with whakapapa. Since one I make reference to in my reports was the former county planner.
Wow.
Yeah, I was just talking to
What is his name?
Peter Crawford.
That was Peter Crawford.
That was Peter Crawford.
Peter Crawford.
Mm.
Just to say hi.
So here's me after 65-year catch-up. I just left a little story. Probably doesn't want to remember after 65 years. Now, you said something about maps.
Yeah, what would be really good is before we go to Ponui to have a look at the terrain that we're going to, and just talk about the features we're going to see if we can find today. Oh, nice. Right.
A couple of these aside on, there's a photo spin off showing one of the ditches.
Yes.
You know, you walked down along.
Yes.
That's the one from the lake, and you walked along to the corner.
Can you take us back to where we walked on our first trip to Ponui? Because from my understanding, it was down this end, and we're going down this end today. So, where did we go on our last trip there?
On the last trip, what we did, we came up here. We came up here, and we walked along. And this ditch showing here is this one in the photo, looking up the lake. So that ditch with the burn off is that ditch here. And what stood on, it's not shown on these lines, is a big double ditch system.
Yes.
That went through. It's unique into this region.
And does it go through here? Or
the double ditch comes from here right across.
Wow.
Right across, and the lower one. So when we were here, and I suggested I stood down one and Jeffrey stood on above the other,
Yes.
just to get a proportion.
Yes.
They were big, serious ditches, and double ditching here, and a complete ditch coming out to the drop off to the lake. That's that one here in
So
this
where we
photo.
walked up to, it was
We walked up here.
1,400 feet above the lake,
That's in feet.
but that's 500 metres. So that's quite a significant.
Well, once we're up
elevation.
there, it did look significant.
Yeah.
It was quite deceptive of when we were by the car and the
Yes.
carport.
Just how high up you have to get.
And so this is the contouring, and that's pretty well sheer, all this. So we used the natural defence here.
Yes.
We wouldn't have had palisading anyway through here, but double ditches and had palisading.
So where does the road go through? I'm getting.
Oh no, the road doesn't come through. The road's way out down here.
Oh, so this is all inland.
The road swings around, comes down here, and when we were at the car park for that track,
Yes.
we looked up here and we could see that as a ridge above us,
Okay.
tree covered.
Yep. And where are we going today?
Where we're going today is spoil for choice. One of the things is Jeffrey's lookout is to see if there's
You've named it after me.
any features that are left. No, I gave it special mention in the report here. So number 10, here's the parking area here. This has been
Can we
modified.
just show that to the camera? No, in front.
Sideways.
Right. Otherwise,
That way.
people will be craning their necks at the moment.
Oh yes. So your convenience is here's the car park. Number 10. What does number 10 say, Jeffrey?
Vantage point of rock outcrop, top of surrounding lower land and lake from Whakamoia Point to Te Karaka Point,
Thank you, Michael.
latterly known as Jeffrey's Lookout.
Yes. Maori informant had another name for it, but but the thing is,
What was the Māori name? What is the Māori name for that?
they were connecting it with the outlying lookout places at the time, Ponui Paa,
Yes.
of the time of Ponui Paa. So talking and mentioning that as associated with the histories and the events that took place. But here I've numbered about 10 features. When the person went to the Department of Conservation, and they said, and then he didn't get in touch with me, he cleared the whole lot for modification. And then Historic Places Trust, we went to me, I had all this detail, but the Historic Places Trust had authorised all the modification of several sites up and down the road on the pretext and not enough information, let it all go. With the dock archaeologist, it should have been come back with more information, more detail. So this is the half-witted thing I've had dealing with with the government departments, which fortuitously were in touch with me yesterday after I got home. Culture and heritage.
Now, I can't help but note from already on our first visit when we found 2 rows of pits, some interconnected. I don't see that marked on this
This isn't marked on the map because this is way at the end of the road. This is a mile away.
Okay,
This is Jeffrey's Lookout.
sorry.
Yes,
There was no Jeffrey's Lookout at the interconnected pits.
That's right. That's
I
right.
didn't realise that.
Yes. Remember when we came out of
Yes.
that walk?
Yes.
And we sat and had a sandwich. And
Yes,
As soon as we stopped and you made some
Yes.
comment, I
Yes.
said, yes, that's a serious feature.
and that's where the wall had been made, that concrete covering up Ponui Paa entrance, right? That's by the lookout. I'm just trying to get in my mind. Is it that place?
I just
This is a place we didn't go to, and I said they further modified it when they put the power lines through to for when they set up that community at the point. So we haven't been there. It was across the road from where we walked down. So this is something, and what we've got to do is look at any detail of anything that might be left, knowing the road's been widened, this has been modified, and so some of the features here I've numbered, and I've got circular features, shallow open pit, stones, level area, 60 metres to east, and here, the more things, raised earthwork, 25 metres long, and so this is one of the raised earthworks, and so we're going to look just in this little area, vicinity of the car park, just to see if there's any traces of features, because after that, the banks and the ground rises very high, very, very steeply.
Oh, well, that sounds like it could be a little fun to explore, and we wouldn't have to walk too high, would we?
We're walking more or less at just about the same level we're leaving the car.
Great.
Just in there,
Okay.
and all these features against the road.
So we'll be having a little look-see what's in there, and then at the other end of Ponui Paa, eh? Tēnā koutou katoa. Nau mai hoki mai ki te ao o toro piko puppets. Take 2. Nau mai hara mai ki taupo moana record keepers. It is the 23rd of June 2022. We are at Rangatira Point presently. We're about to take a look at some cultural features behind me. So without further ado, over to Perry to guide us.
Yes, following your footsteps.
Hold on, e te rangatira, I will just put this amplification device here. Right, good to go.
And where we are, thought I heard someone. Where we are, Jeffrey is standing behind prominent feature number 10. And we don't know whether 1, 2 and 3 are still there with the road widening. But this was sheltered quite a few places of interest around the between the corner and the high rising banks behind us. So it's a short area. We're just going to see by our memory of the ground plan what features are there. There was supposed to be an open pit feature and a mound. The mound might have been swiped now, and there was some earth rows and some other modifications. And so, further ado, the frosters thawed. I hear some part of the country had -11 degrees.
Wow. Well, you wouldn't ignore that, would you, if it was coming towards you?
Oh, it's nice looking for Big Bird.
That's what I thought it was. That's the funniest backing noise I've ever heard.
Yes.
All right, where were we? Oh, that's right. Well, let's find them all, eh? See what we can find and what's still there.
Yes. And so we got 10 features. That's feature number 1, which is still here.
And can you say what it is?
It was a lookout. Maori in the past used to point that out as relating to even Ponui Paa. They had vantage points, different points. But this vantage point too is on higher ground, away from the lake. But that was took a both bays and approaches coming off what we call Mine Bay, and the on the strip going to Ponui Paa.
We call it a Kuta Bay now because that's
No, Kuta Bay.
That's correct.
Yes, but that's just a smaller part of it, and we've lost so much. It's a bit like for Kaipo Bay. You might have about 2-3 names, and the dozens that were formerly around is just all either lost or omitted in modern maps.
By the names of the conquesting.
Well, again, it's interesting where we were about Paka and its origins. And its origins have been still held for hundreds of years, even though people have come, suppressed, conquered. But some of these places and the people there that originally gave the names are still being held in traditional accounts and their oral histories. So that's important to get a time frame too with some of these old places. What looks more applicable?
This side, because there's a power box in there, so people have obviously been able to get up.
Right here, oh, not again.
No, you didn't hear that. No. What you heard was, here we go again.
Once more, off the top.
With Perry Fletcher.
There's a stone in here. There's a rock here. There's a stone here. And you'll see here, now it's getting off.
There we go.
It used to be placed.
Yep.
Photo, feature, exciting.
Yeah.
Worth a trip. To see nothing else. We note look at big rocks.
Yes.
Are placed.
Yes.
Stony here. The ground's been scraped off here. And the other features even are over toward the road. Don't want Jeffrey to run too quickly because we're starting.
I go towards the road and have a look at things.
Well, if you crisscross back,
yes.
There might be a low mound or some feature. But I've started by pausing, looking relationship to it. I'm starting to possibly note the context. Stone's been brought in. This rock has been carried in. Here's a low, this is a low. Say what? I don't want to. Well, that might be one of the heaps I note. But look at this, see this now? These have all been, and that here, good. That's one of my rows I indicate on that map today. So we'll go
I'll find it.
quickly.
I'll find it when I get home and put this together.
Now look at the rocks. Oh, the women were fit in those days.
We were. They probably carried it with a baby on their back.
Road widely, probably stuff number 1 and 2.
Yeah, so I was just noticing these rocks, a line of rocks
Oh wow!
along here. Do you think those are natural?
Oh no, these have been rolled and pushed and placed.
So, yeah, because there's definitely a wall.
That's I notice a feature. I think me number 2, a bit of a walling.
Okay.
So this is nothing to do with the road and road works or anything. I should know because I was on a tractor initially put it up toward the gate. Big rocks though.
Very big.
We'll go around. We'll come behind you, Jeffrey. Here's one of my walls. See here?
Oh wow! Yeah, yeah, yeah.
See, I mean, Jeffrey zigs when I zag. But you've got to just take a breath, look around, or else you just run past.
Look in there.
Yeah, this is one of the roads I've got marked on that map.
Yeah, so,
And because it's not accidental, same big rocks, all been pushed and placed and manoeuvred.
so do you think that's to enable a wider area of cultivation?
Well, if it's too much work, you wouldn't bother with it. You know, you just plant out, and but there's been more going on here, habitation. That's not and with that rock lookout, traditional link, and but this is, see this big rocks down here, more big rocks,
Yeah.
and in whole cleared areas. So this is getting a familiar pattern.
Great stuff.
It's quite pronounced, isn't it, this little...
So when we make a mental note of this, when you go back to our map that we got carefully, and you took a photo earlier of that, and then you can relate to one of these rows, to some of the features I got by the road, and we'll know now if they've been lost with the road widening or not.
This looks like it's that mound you were speaking on.
I do mention a mound. Another big row. So when you said about the beach and why weren't they making more use of the rocks, well, yes they were, but here we are. Here it is.
Is this a trench through here?
This has been dug out. But look at this. Look at the well factor here. It's a well, isn't it?
Yeah, well,
This is where our shovels and wheelbarrows and everything else.
just by hand.
Just by hand.
Heap it all up.
That's why I was so annoyed when they bypassed me in the historic places, let features go down this road, not enough information, let it go. And I wonder how many sites, cultural sites, not only here but other districts, with that same attitude.
Yeah, this is a major site.
What we'll do, Jeffrey,
At least 50 metres long.
it's serious, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a serious bit of construction. I suppose it would also stop water running off and, you know, off the hills and
I
things.
don't know. I don't know. It's more trapping water if it's
Yeah.
coming. I don't do anything. I think my little tape measure, we leave this. But these are all things we can revisit.
Yeah. And mark out with measure
Mark
out.
out.
You know, yes.
Don't,
This is what.
don't go to people and say, wow, and show them, and they'll say they won't need you. But we come up with an assessment, and this would be part of the assessment. And these for an assessment, as I say, are hugely significant. And this is when we go place to place and we can work out patterns. Now you've got them from the other end of the lake, and here for Kaipo, the island, you know, wow, which you might just take my word for it, Jeffrey. Yeah, the island. Hey, look, they've done two lots, two independent rows, parallel.
Oh,
And what's going in between?
wow.
Or maybe they had shelters or something.
They could well have.
So this is one.
I'll be trying to work out whether they had
Earthwork.
things growing.
This is the second one.
It still goes on.
One here, one here.
Yep. Oh, are there three? So there's the rocks. There are the rocks near the road. There's this one right in front of us.
Big ones, and they could be a remnant of another one's partly gone with the road now.
Sure.
So when we revisit with a, we'll do the ground plan on that and revisit that site thing. Remember, all I was giving was indications of pits or old garden areas of that. I was a busy boy way back. This is oh, you're too far, Jeffrey. It's in the that's why I've got the see easting, westing with the compass. Or south. So this is easting, westing. This row. One thing with our little excursions, nothing's mooring, nothing's just more of the same, is it?
No. A lot of the trees are very similar. But that could be because they are regrowth. And certain plants and trees come in once the land is cleared. Like rangipo is a very popular plant that we see, or tree that we see.
See, someone's been actively planting off the roadside.
Yeah, There's lovely tickle and five different understories.
Now Jeffrey's on a more of a round mound feature. When I say a mound,
It feels very mounded.
I said it was raised. I said it wasn't a depression. It was a raised feature.
Considerably raised.
2, 4, 6.
Where people could proselytise from.
So as I say, rock sort of sheltered. So much activity down the lake on canoe landings and that, but you've got nothing to suggest this back here, the few little things you got down near the lake. And so this is serious, isn't it?
Serious mounding. They must have had serious cultivation as well.
And there's another big one here. I've used the
A mound.
it's all
Do you think these could be burial mounds?
not the way they're put. Not the
big
way they're put. I wouldn't say no to anything, but I wouldn't. Look at Whaitaima. That's a lot of work. And giving
A lot of work.
200-300 years for settling and everything else and building up. This land was all cleared, and it took a lot of the effort because they might be using the warmth of the rocks to grow things like taro and different things too. My little illustration I had going things right up to the probably the points rise. Yes.
Wow, this is stunning in here. Wow.
So when we get an area, we note their places like I have, and in the rows, and that's without any particular in-depth measuring off. And so people pass sight, or else they'll stop at burial, only interest in burial, not pa unless there's a combination. And as I say, a pa is a secondary thing in so much what is associated with supporting the people around it. And this is a refuge place like a cliff fort in the middle of nowhere. Educational, isn't it? You don't have to go miles and miles and miles.
Just standing here, there was something really special around this part.
Yeah, so to stop talking, give you a breath to take it in. You see my initial work in that, I'd have Maori tell me the land blocks or Maoris of the high positions, I was wasting my time, it's all been done, and everything else. And if I listened, this is one of the reasons I wanted this left and not transferred Crown land to a land swap in the middle of nowhere, 50 miles in the back and beyond. I wanted the retention of the owners. This is why I worked so closely with Peter Crawford. And we still got telegrams from him about trying to have this quickly investigated to put into to free stop pine planting.
Is there any thing up this way?
I'm sure I would have looked. You know, I've
Looks
been
quite
at the
steep.
top. It was only one on the top going inland. There was a big deep pit. It could be one of those ones where they're catching pigs and dropping them in. It was that sort of pit. But I
Is this the old time people or the
this is from the contact period when there were pigs on that. They started doing that sometimes.
So there have been pigs here, eh, Perry? Right where
This
we're
is
standing.
This is Piggy, not Big Piggy, but
Not Big
still
Piggy.
Piggy.
It's still piggy.
Piggy.
Oh wow!
I've been on farms off Waikato, and the pigs from the river have found a way through a fence and gone to trouble of going a couple hundred metres up to a power site because they noted the soil's been different. They had a good old grub around, and they've been quite handy, you know, revealing honey stone and that. But,
Yes, because over time, everything over 200 years is probably a metre or so of soil
I was
fallen.
just saying, Whaitaima, what we're seeing now, they say at least a couple hundred years, of just settling and covering and in the moulding, just
So
like the build up you got of the storage pits, got the build up on the ground of the,
Yeah, so these features would have been far more pronounced when they were originally made.
and when people saw it's all plant native, when these were done there was probably there was no vegetation, everything had been cleared. And they didn't want vegetation, they wanted the sunlight, they wanted the growth, they wanted these things for their plantings. And so you got to get in the mindset of the gardeners of the old time.
Yes, there would have been none of these. No trees around. That's why they're all small, aren't they? Because it's been gardened for so many years.
This has been swept through with fires as well in the recent past. Fires, but the second growth has been good because it stopped the blackberry, it stopped the rubbish and the old encroachment.
Yeah, it's lovely to walk through this bush.
This is very nice.
Compared to yesterday's pine tree. God, that was terrible.
Traversing the pine plantation that we were in, looking for the hikurangi.
Well, the thing is,
tuahu.
from day one, with the person doing all the stirring, it didn't make sense for location, the stories, what the elders had, and so that's an example. What we got to do as record keepers is, are these places traditionally accurate? Don't take word straight off for it.
So Perry, are we able to change the location of Orona so that it's on the south side of Robert Hallett?
No, you don't have to, because it's a gazetted Orona from 1930 and it's still up TeWhare. It was just that it was just a bit of recent historic silliness, and when we meet with Robert, we'll take up the story.
Great.
And I'll say how the adjustments had through.
Surely to this day there would be a footprint of Orona Paa in its site, and there would be a lack of a footprint in the site that they're saying it is.
Where there's an old ditch paa, 10,000 square metre paa, and to the thinking, one paa fits all. Only one paa. I only know one paa. It must be that paa. And people here with Parawira and that have done exactly the same thing. Only one paa, only one burial. And so then you have someone tell you that yes, and that person, to make it fit, started taking the rock from here and applying the name over there and other places, and they shifted features and cultural places for a mile either way just to suit them, as with their subdivision.
Right, so they dug a whole lot of holes in the ground and said, look, here's the old ancient kumara pits. It must have been Orona Paa here.
And this is why the complaints went Trustboard. Trustboard had a big map, and if they had glanced at the map in their own offices, they could have seen where TeWhare Stream was, and north of that was the gazetted, but no, that was too much difficulty for them to take in. And they just listened to a complainant and that's why it's so distorted. We just go. Well, we'll do a little walk while we're here, unless you want to rush back.
No.
No. Did you say that we had a couple of places to go to today?
The
No,
caves at Ponui.
this is we went to Jeffrey's Lookout.
But we didn't look out.
No, you can if you want to clamber up, but then in the past it was probably cleared of trees that have more things to look at.
I still feel it would be remiss of me not to go up there and take some stills from the lookout. Otherwise...
So we can do that when we get back to the car, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Alright, so let's keep going.
Let's keep going.
So if we walk,
Then, and then at another place go back, so we'll scope out more.
we may in the future still repay another walk on top.
Sure.
Because we're not
Sure.
seeing actual storage pits.
Yep.
And remember, I've been here post fires when the bracken's been that high.
Well, if there was this amount of garden, you'd think there would be the equivalent kumara pit.
Well, not necessarily. It depends on whether they're growing food and taking it away.
Yes, or just growing naturally.
Or leaving pits for their mokopunas to find later when their mokos come through here, or their children. Who is he talking to?
Good idea to climb up and join them.
You?
Well, I don't know what he's speaking of.
Talking, yes. Don't know what he's talking about. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Perry. Well, we almost came out exactly where we went in.
Yeah, exactly.
You're amazing.
Well, I think if you stand over there,
Yep. Oh, there he is.
yeah, get a photo of him. That's exactly.
Hi. Oh, stop it. Oh, come on.
What a beautiful view. I can see why it's called a lookout. It's amazing this vista. If that had been put all in pine trees to the lake, you see what we would have lost for everything. But who works out, all but in 30 years we have income, so I got them to see what the income would be, put it straight up front and multiply it by inflation adjustment for annual payments. So the Maori not only benefited, but they retained the land title. That was lost by all parties up to that point, and by doing that, as I knew, it pulled the plug out all the proposed reserve schemes, which would have affected all Maori settlements around the lake. I'll show you the map sometime. It was horrendously ambitious. We're going to take all Whanganui Bay, all Whakaipo Bay, and the whole lot. This is why I say about the council controlled reserve strip. There's no foot access to Maori carvings. You're physically dropped.
Yes.
Sheer drops to the lake and that.
Yes.
So got that strip, easement strip.
Yes.
But there's no physical access to it?
Oh, no, there's access to most of it. It's only a little part where it goes before the rock carvings, where it
Before
becomes
rock
inaccessible.
carvings. So that's why I say to the rock carvings.
Yeah, well, that deters people from trying to do it. You know, because you can actually swim there. I've been with a group of people who swam there last year. I was their lifeguard paddling a canoe. And I was needed, I have to say.
So what do you think of that?
That view's stunning. I'm so glad it's been named after me. It's worthy of a name. It's worthy of being named. So thank you for that, bestowing that honour upon me. I'm not likely to have a Jeffrey's Lookout.
Oh no,
With the equal of the view.
you've had plenty of things named after Perry. Perry's Folly.
Yeah. Perry's full.
So, but who knows any of these places? As I say, stop me randomly in the district, and I'll have stories, places, everything.
Well, apart from me and Whaitaima, I'd say there's probably no one who could shed light on the places that you have taken us to. Very few. So here we are.
Some that might have an interest is only where their family land begins and ends. It might be a little piece, it might be a larger piece, but the interest immediately stops with the colonial fence lines, not the cultural history of the movements of people.
Isn't it great that we're not kind of fettered or shuttered, or we don't have to have those blinkers on us. I really like having a big picture look at things rather than, which can show you the detail, but if you're only focused on the microscopic, I mean, you miss so much, don't you? Okay.
So we'll go down to the marking thing.
Well, we've still got some light, so this isn't
the end. Okay, cool.
This is just a
Interlude.
Here's just a matter of easing yourself off the road. But as Jeffrey says, I'm just looking at the options. So from here up top, every ledge, every little overhang was had bones in them at one time, going right down from the lake right up.
wow.
We'll go, as Jeffrey suggests. Do you think my car should be in further?
No. From where I was sitting in the back, it looked like these wheels were on the road, but they're not. Look, it's clear. And it's not like you have a lot of room to go over to the side anyway.
Steep drop here, and it would have had fencing and sectioning off for the flores and a bit of protection. Jeffrey's following the old track in.
He is.
Didn't look too solid, did it?
No.
It's just there in case we rely on it to come out.
Perry, can I give you this camera? No, they don't when you're in your one hand. Thank you. It lost its balance.
Take it slowly, Jeffrey. Solid as. Want me to go?
Yes, yes you go. Jeffrey, would you? Oh no, his camera's got a flash on it.
You've got my staff, eh?
No? Oh, it's just on the rock we came from. The rock that we were at.
Serious case. Well, I'll give you the name another day. Give a bit of a
I'll give you the camera, Jeffrey. Once I get up off my knees.
you can address it if you like, Jeffrey.
What's the name then?
I don't have the name in my head. Having lack of water, I've got tongue tied.
I know what you mean.
So I'll give it to you.
Hey Jeffrey, let me pass this to you. Oh, good. Ignore the flashing lights. Just get as much as you can.
It is definitely a fine cave.
That's the lower entrance. I see there's two entrances. You're going on the upper entrance. Jeffrey went on the upper entrance. I know what I know. Jeffrey's high vis stands out.
Oh my god, that looks like a cathedral, doesn't it?
It does.
Way to the pyramids.
And it looks like here at the end they've actually
Sealed
worked it a bit, you know, to make it look a little bit.
If I remember rightly, Jeffrey,
Yes.
there was some markings. I think it was on that side. I can make out on the wall there.
Kokowai.
Maybe lower down. No, no cockaway, a bit of a carving or a bit of a slight thing. More to your right,
Around here.
around here.
Oh, that is so stunning. That is so stunning. Can we find our way back here?
Well, I took a coordinate. Easy peasy.
It is. It's a very beautiful cave.
Oh, it is.
But the old people, when they pointed this out to me, never went up. They said it was Beryl Cave, and you know, And this was packed with bones and skeletons,
Yeah.
jammed with them.
Oh,
And I
shit.
never had any interest in going record. I just took people off the burial cave, you know, Urupā, and just took it.
So this was packed with skeletons at one
No,
stage.
bones, mummies, bones, burials, clustered burials,
Wow.
bones.
And why did he think it was a good idea to change its use?
To change its what?
Well, to take it out. Why did they?
That was the Danzies. Get rid of the evidence. Harry Danzy removed the whole lot, carved them up top and buried them out of sight, out of mind. He was the same family with half a sacred mountain and that. There's a mindset that people will do these things. It would have been a simple thing to have this graded, like the cave at the island, and had it graded and secured, easy, and just left. I'm loath to have ancient things like this disturbed or taken when there's absolutely no need.
Well, I suppose we wouldn't be in here now if he hadn't done that.
No, I would have been in here before and after we did it, and this is why I got photos of places, not here, but places that the Maori since then, all have been this, have been that. I've got original photos of places that have been undisturbed. That this is what people take on themselves as individuals. But what's their track record? All their track record's doing negative things without consulting the people, without doing a proper record.
Oh, wow. Look how far back it goes.
Yes.
Well, it's a really nice sleeping cave, isn't it?
Well, this was Whaitaima's sleeping cave.
We're talking about Te Whare Tō ki Turiroa. You know, who was with Rauhoto. Is that who we are speaking
Oh,
of?
that's one.
Yes. Oh, wow. Wow.
And you had an upper and lower entrance, as you could see.
Yes,
You
yes,
come in the lower part.
yes.
What a lovely cave.
A nice resting place.
Doesn't feel haunted.
Look, I don't feel any qualm about such places here, but the curse that the family that interfered, they die like flies, they go half mad and everything else. And the 2-3 generations later, they still act stupid.
There ain't no cure for that, as they say. Well, I'm wrapped till we found it. I felt frustrated that I...
Yes.
Well, Jeffrey, you
It was the lack of water, Jeffrey, that would have affected your mind. And then...
Come on, I've already had 2 swigs from that bottle, all that you got.
Oh, really?
I don't need anything.
Oh.
I wouldn't be warning you or anything else. By time, the fact is that he moved a lot. He didn't move everything.
Oh,
What do you say?
if I couldn't come up here, my feet wouldn't have carried me. So, what are you saying, Mr. Perry?
He grabbed and dug and removed everything he did.
He could see.
And carted them up and dug them up top. What's the use of doing that? All that effort, you could have got a proper grating system or anything else put here, just like with the island.
Mm-hmm. Are you saying you can see something down there?
No, you're right, okay, here. I suppose if we spend a week with a sieve, we might find a tooth or something that's missed,
Okay.
but these possum bones. Jeffrey suddenly
See, he's
sees
got to touch. He's got to touch it.
big animals like possums, pigs, and
It looks like a seal. Do you remember that seal, those seal ribs we found?
Mhm.
It's like that, eh?
Could be a baby.
Oh, stop it.
So I have looked at this place.
Mm. Yeah, just when you look at this entrance here, it just looks too, you know, the roof looks as if they've modified it to take out all the lumpy bits. You know, it's got people bumping their heads when they got to the back of the cave.
Some loose walls and that.
Mm.
That solidified. It's
Well, you can see 100 people in here.
well, you well imagine that. Imagine all the bones and the skeletons and that they're packed up in here.
There must have been hundreds there.
And for the and for all the bones and all the places put right down to the road, they're just jammed with bones.
Wow.
Oh, is that a cobweb on the first alcove?
That,
If you walk towards the
right
back,
behind
yes.
you.
Is that a cobweb?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, okay. It reminded me of a pterodactyl.
And it's got a name.
I'll give you the name when I
Have a glass of water.
no when I get home.
No.
Okay, that's one thing I thought I was going to do, because it's and that was the lower entrance, but this has been it's rock through movement and falls have distorted it.
Right, Perry, here we are at the cave that we've been looking for. We succeeded. We can-
Yes, and Jeffrey managed to find the only clumps of blackberry he's going to show us on the way out.
Mhm.
But
Happily.
apart from that, perseverance has saved the day. So we've had today, this afternoon, we've had two great features of interest. Massive stoneworks over agriculture and that, where Jeffrey mentioned on our earlier trip,
Yes.
why weren't they utilising for gardens and that. They've taken to the place that they were very much doing it in a big way in the past. And from there we've come to here, and this cave is was steeped in history at one time. But unfortunately, I do believe that as its last days as a burial cave, and its use before the missionary impact, that this could have been preserved and carefully recorded, which was never done. An individual took it on himself to remove everything, and yet we've got records of bones and that all the way in ledges and under rocks and cavities all the way down from here to the lake.
Okay, can we wrap it up, please? My
Right.
neck is getting sore and my arm is
Have you
getting
got
sore.
anything to say about this day, Whaitaima? What
I've
have
had
you
a lovely
enjoyed?
day today. It was great recording at the first place that we went to. Where was the first place?
Where-
Jeffrey's Lookout.
Jeffrey's look.
Freeze Lookout. So we went there and did some recording, and the features there were great. The soil was very dark and nutritious, and
Can I show?
I've got a sore arm.
Can I show you my cultural artifact that I found today?
Can't.
Yes, I can. Look at this beautiful little glass here.
It looks like a little paste jar.
It does,
Yes.
doesn't it? Marmite jar or something.
Oh well, I thought. Well, there we go.
There you go. Okay, so we're going to sign off now, everyone. Thanks for watching the Record Keepers, and enjoy your day.
Mā te wā e hoa mā.
Ke konei te aro maunga, ke konei te aroha, ke konei te awaroa, ke konei te wairua, ke konei te repopiro, mo te tuna me te wairoa, ke konei te ngā here here, mo te tui, e tui anei. Ke konei te ahi mura, ke konei te wahi kai, ke konei te huka huka, ke konei te wakatou, ke konei te pukohu, te kahu tauhi o te whārua, ke konei te hauti o tio, e karawhi o ana ki te